Good afternoon. Today I will serve as your timer. For the speakers, I have your requested time. I will count down when there's 2 minutes remaining. I will hold up the green card and turn on the green light. At 1 minute remaining, I will hold up the yellow card and turn the light to yellow. At the end of your time, I will turn on the red light and hold up the red card. If you go over, I will not shirk my duty. At 1 minute over, I will hit the buzzer. At 2 minutes over, you'll hear the buzzer twice. For
3 minutes, I'll take them physically.
Great, yes. For the table topics, I'll display the green minute or the green light when you're 1 minute in, the red light when you're 2 minutes in. And for the evaluators, the green light will come on at 2 minutes in, the yellow light at 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and the red light at 3 minutes.
Next, I would like to invite Stacy for our theme and inspiration of the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. In yoga, we practice hand gestures to cultivate certain states of mind. We call these mudras. And today I would like to invite you to practice 2 of these with me, if you're comfortable with that bring to mind gratitude and appreciating the things that we have. We'll begin with the Anjali Mudra. We bring your hands together at heart center, pressing the tips of the fingers together and the base of the hands together with a slight bend in the knuckles so that there's an open space between the palms. This resembles a flower that has yet to open and represents the opening of our mind. Bringing the hands to heart center stimulates the connection of the left and the right hemispheres of the brain. It balances the dualities of nature, day and night, male and female, and stimulates the opening of our mind to appreciate the adornments of the many gifts and blessings in our lives, like purple flowers in a field of green. The second mudra I'd like to share with you begins by opening the left hand or the right hand, it doesn't matter, spreading the fingers wide, closing the hand, the opposite hand, and drawing the outside edge of the closed hand to the inside palm of the open hand. This is called the turkey mudra, and it represents a turkey. Gobble, gobble.
Very nice. I thought I was going to learn something new today. Next, I want to call up our first speaker, Chris. He is going to go over the first module of the Moments of Truth, and he did request that he did be evaluated on his presentation.
Quiet, 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 quiet.
Thank you, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I missed you last week, so good to see you again. The Moments of Truth. For our guest, it is a club evaluation that is given by one of the members and requires feedback from its members to offer ideas, because sometimes we have ideas, but we don't feel that we have a good outlet to share them or know who to share them with. I don't see as full of a room as I was hoping. I think the other members that are not here are shirking the responsibilities. So we will just have to take a finger at them when we see them. Today's module is First Impressions. We have a second-time guest, so we must be doing something right. And we did score very high on all of the modules. If those who are swamped with emails, if they didn't happen to get to it, you know who you are. I will read what we are evaluating for this first impressions. That guests are greeted warmly and introduced to officers and members. The guest book and name tags are provided. Professionally arranged meeting room, a convenient meeting location, that guests are invited to address the club, again, later today, and guests are invited to join, sometimes controlled. It worked for me. I had sent out a form, and some of you emailed it to me as well, so I appreciate that. We did not score, there was a scale of 1 to 5 for each of those modules on first impressions. 1 being we have never met the standard, 2 we rarely meet the standard, 3 we sometimes meet the standard, 4 we usually meet the standard, and 5 is we always meet the standard. The comments that I got, and if it was a 3 or lower, the document asked that we provide a solution to that challenge. If it's a 3 or lower, that means that we as a club struggle, and that is a challenge for us. One of the comments is that the guest list can be missed when visitors come into the room. I think that is a very valid point. We don't have a central table. If you were looking on the Toastmaster website for a typical meeting scenario, it is usually around a table. There's usually a conference room. There's usually a podium. There's usually a focus. This is a different layout and with different challenges than a typical conference or meeting room. So yes, we do sometimes have, our guest book is in the back, and we do sometimes walk right by it. And the next one is perhaps we could use a setup similar to the open house. I don't know if that was, I believe, was that you, Amy, that did that one? Were you implying that we should have the table in the middle here to have a lot of our materials on?
Right, in the open house, it was actually aligned right next to Joe, and so when you came in, it caught your eye that there's something there for you to stop for or pay attention to right as you're coming in.
Okay.
Just an idea.
Or eat, right?
Or
Was there
eat.
food on it?
Yes,
Right?
it was.
Yeah, yes. Another, a little bit of a shortfall is if the easiest way to get to this room, so the meeting being in a convenient location, if you are not an employee and are familiar with where the employee elevators are, which is the best way to get to this room, it may be difficult. Yes.
Just like to observe that actually the first time that I came to this meeting, I didn't come to this meeting because I couldn't find the room. I had come up the Mayo elevators because it said, you know, the conference room is the Mayo Conference Center. In order to get here from the Mayo employee, it's almost impossible. It's almost impossible. So I just wanted to.
Right.
Yeah, it's the Donda staff elevators, but the
Yes.
Mayo building. And
Yes.
that's confusing.
Yes, that is.
And a suggestion for that might be on our website and on our communications to suggest people take the Gonda employee elevators.
And not the north ones, the south ones.
Yes.
That is, one, to address that, being that I work in facilities, I think it would probably not be a bad idea to add a hyperlink to a map saying that these are the elevators that you want to go to in relationship. So it would have both the Mayo and the Gonda buildings put together, you know, enter here, and then when you get out, just give it a short. Any other comments on building location, for our first impressions? Yes, Stacy?
I wonder if we might add to the responsibilities maybe of the sergeant at arms to clean up food that's left here from previous meetings?
Yes, that I totally missed. I was stepping in for John, and that by no means was the only thing left in here. I don't know if we should also send a note back to room reservations saying that previous tenants are leaving the room in a less than desirable state.
I could do that. I booked the
Tanya
room, so I
is
can do
our,
that.
Tanya currently is in charge of securing our reservations.
You have to do it 2 years in advance.
Whoa.
So, because you don't know, if you want the same room, so,
Yeah.
so on January 1st, I logged in from home, and it wasn't January 1st, it's actually January 7th. So on January 7th, I can book for 2018. Yeah, you have to get the rooms. And I even book our club executive officers meetings the same way, because, and I do cancel them on the holiday weeks. I go through and then I specifically cancel them in case someone wants the room. But it's very hard to get a room otherwise. And I will tell room reservations that, it's been the last few weeks that whoever has the meeting before us has left fruit and food and has left the room undesirable. I
Yes.
believe it might be different people, different groups, it's not the same
True.
room every time, so.
Yes. But yes, you are absolutely correct. That would be the responsibility of the sergeant at arms, and unfortunately, I did miss that one as my substitution duties. Other.
I have a suggestion.
Oh, absolutely, sure.
The only thing that, by having that table there, it took out a whole row of seats, and that's a popular row of seats. So on a typical day like today, it's fine,
Mhm.
but on an open house day, people didn't wanna walk to the front and sit in the front. They're like, so they jumped over the back. So I don't know if we just need a big sign that says, welcome guests, sign in here with an arrow, because they'll see it as they come in. But right now, it just looks like a pile of stuff. So I
It
think we
does.
we could make it a better, it is a perfect place to sign in, and we can just make it more attractive and more organized.
Okay. Does should we ask, we can maybe brainstorm.
We can talk about
or-
that Friday at our exec
Yes,
meeting.
or take suggestions now. Amy, you did have a hand up.
Yeah, I just was gonna, a radical idea is, do we need to keep this room? Is there another place that we would wanna consider keeping that might be more accessible to
In 2018.
others in 2018? That's right.
Smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Just
so
throwing it out.
so I can look at different rooms. Oh, God, thinking outside the box, what the heck? That really helped open my mind.
Or, you know.
So that being said, do people, like this setup, like where the chairs? I like it much better than sitting around a conference table. I don't like the conference table meetings, and we have too many people to sit around the conference table.
Okay. I do believe, we're running short. How, the only other,
Wait,
sorry.
she has an idea.
Yes,
We could ask maybe Abby to design us a beautiful little poster that,
Yes.
a larger poster
yeah, she
there
does that.
with the arrow for the guests to
Right.
sign. Okay, that's all.
okay, no, those are very good ideas.
I'd say one last quick idea is, maybe for the Toastmaster in the beginning, to mention for the guests to make sure they sign in just
Absolutely.
continuously.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, there is, I thought I saw one more. It just mentioned about people who have the roles, and I will request just a 1-minute extension, hopefully on Sam
Sorry.
buzzer.
Sorry,
That's fine,
everyone.
that's fine. This is good stuff. But we've kind of gotten into a habit of watching what other people do and parroting how other people do roles. One comment was, go back and review in your manuals what exactly the roles are and bring that back to the meeting, being more cordial, more formal about some things and because there is a lot of good information in those manuals. I will agree with the person that says. And maybe being a little more deliberate about getting information from guests so that other people can know that they are there and take an interest in them. thank you for your time. If there are any further comments, feel free to email me and I will share them back. Thank you very much for your time.
Uh, 1 minute for review, evaluation.
Chris. I have a suggestion of how we can increase the attendance of
Is it food?
More egg rolls, is that what you're telling me, Stacy?
Okay. Next on relations of gratitude.
Bear with me as I have a cold and my mind's a little foggy, so bear with me. Gracias, danke, merci. In whatever language thank you is expressed, it often brightens spirits, brings smiles to faces, and fortifies friendships. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our guests. As I reflected upon my own life, and the times and the role that gratitude has played within it, it usually comes down to one decision, and that decision is to be grateful. We have a saying in our house that states, it's up on the wall, it says, there's always, always, always something to be grateful for. Studies have shown and linked happiness and gratitude together. Take for instance a recent study as referenced by Harvard of two psychologists, one in California, the other in Florida. They did a 10-week long study with 3 different groups. The first group was asked to write down each day what they were grateful for. The second group was asked to write down each day what irritated them. And the third group was asked to write down what affected them, with no emphasis on positivity or negativity. At the end of the 10 weeks, the group that wrote down what they were grateful for was generally found to be more positive, to be happier about their lives. They exercised more, and they saw the physician less. All great things, right? Who wouldn't want that? Take for a moment and reflect upon your own lives and the time in which you've had an attitude of gratitude. Generally speaking, and within my own life, I found the times that I'm happier are the times that I've been more grateful. I started to learn the importance, or really gain a true understanding of what gratitude was, as I served as a missionary at the age of 19. I served a mission for our church for 2 years in Detroit, Michigan. And during this time, we teach people about God. We teach people about their families, how to strengthen their families, and we perform community service. And a few things I took for granted, simple things or things that I thought were simple, routine types of items, I realized maybe weren't quite so. And the experiences I had on my mission are close to my heart, and I learned a lot during those 2 years. And I'll share a few examples of those things I took for granted. So, a couch and chairs. Oftentimes we would teach people in their homes, and they would bring down their old milk crates and their buckets and sit on those as chairs and couches. Tandem or coupled with being dressed in all of their winter clothes within the house because there wasn't enough money to turn on. I took for granted a car, not having to take 3 buses to get where I needed to be when I needed to be there. I took for granted falling asleep in a peaceful atmosphere, not falling asleep to the sound of gunshots each night. I took for granted a thriving community, a neighborhood where I had friends, as opposed to communities where every other house or so was abandoned. It wasn't uncommon to see individuals coming out of the house with a porcelain toilet on their shoulder and copper piping as they would sell these items for scrap. And this is the United States of America we're talking about. This isn't a third world country we're talking about. This is in the U.S. And I make reference to this in that the folks that we visited with didn't really know any different, and they were grateful for the little that they did have. As our family continually grows, we have three little ones. We're striving to continually develop traditions. 2 traditions that we take part in, especially during this time of year, during November, during Thanksgiving. I'm going to share those 2 with you. The first one is that of a gratitude tree. So it's a big paper tree that we put up on the wall, and we have little leaves that we write things on each day throughout the month and put those on the tree. And so that the intent at the end of the month is to have a tree full of leaves, right? And I'll share a couple of those, and you can imagine they vary with 3 little kids and what those items might be. So a couple of them that are up on our tree right now would be our backyard, lemon yogurt, cereal, warm water, Netflix, family walks, nap time, and you can imagine that's duly noted, maybe more so for my wife, who can actually do that.
Your
Right?
wife put that one up.
Right, yeah, that's right.
How about you?
Yeah, that too. And we hope by doing this tradition, our kids will appreciate the richness, and ourselves too, the richness that comes with being grateful for even the simplest of things. The second tradition is that of secret service. So we have a heart cut out of a heart or another type of item that we'll place where the act of service was done for another family member. And these items are very simple. So make someone's bed, or you pick up their toes, toys, and you would put that heart or that item there, and there would be their opportunity and also responsibility to pay for it, and it will continue around through the family. And so the intent of that is to help all of us, our kids especially, to understand the joy that comes with serving others. So as we reflect upon our own lives and reflect upon this time of Thanksgiving, I would challenge all of us to create additional traditions of gratitude that speak all languages and transcend all languages. Thank you.
One minute for evaluations. Okay. Thank you very much, Ronnie. Gives me ideas as my family grows, to look at ideas for our next room. New ideas to help them, kids learn. Next, I'd like to invite up Joe for our topics master.
Make me earn it. Well, we haven't mentioned Thanksgiving too much today, so I'd like to start that off as a topic for the table topics. It's customary to explain the role of table topics. The purpose of it is to give people an encouragement to speak spontaneously about a subject that they haven't prepared. And I'm going to ask our guests, first of all, if they're willing to accept that role, but I'm not trying to put you on the spot. However, I would consider it an opportunity if you would like to take advantage of it. So the first topic that I'd like to address is, how would you tell a youngster how to behave on a trip and on a Thanksgiving meal? Would anybody like to volunteer? Preferably somebody who hasn't spoken yet.
So how would I encourage a child to go on a trip or eat a Thanksgiving meal? This is a very interesting topic for me because I don't have any children. It's been many years since I've been a child, and so I really have no concept of how to entertain or keep a child still long enough to eat a meal. Although I do know that children like sugar. I know they like toys. And so I feel like combining these two objects together should keep them well behaved on a trip and at the dinner table long enough to eat their Thanksgiving meal. I remember growing up too how difficult it was for me to sit at the dinner table long enough to eat my meal when there was a plethora of other things that I wanted to do. And so I shirked my responsibility to eat my meal and instead focused on other things that I wanted to do. And so I feel like encouraging children by providing them with sugar and toys should give them enough incentive to eat their Thanksgiving meal and to go on a trip.
I guess my only comment to you is, I think most children, even up to the age of 8, would respond to that type of toy. I'm assuming the internet is a toy. Well, let's look at things slightly differently now. We're approaching a new season. We might call it fall. Does anybody have an opinion about the positives and negatives of the fall season to enjoy? I'd like to have volunteers, but okay.
Don't get me wrong, I love spring and summer. They really are my favorite seasons. But there's one special thing that happens, and this is maybe going to take on a negative tone. However, when it starts to get cold, all of you other people who walk your dogs stay inside. And I go out And I don't have to worry about my dog having an altercation with your dog. And I don't have to cross the street because maybe you have small children with you who want to pet my dog. I have a friendly dog, don't get me wrong, again. She's never hurt anybody, but she's big and she's full of energy. And sometimes she really wants to sniff someone from their heads to their toes, and they get nervous. And that nervousness sort of generates to me, and I get nervous. And so to avoid the whole situation, I usually cross the street, or if I see someone coming with small children, I'll take another route. But the blessings of fall and winter and the coolness and the crispness of the air keep the little children inside, keep all the other dogs inside, and I can go about any old path I choose. So welcome, fall and winter. I'm ready.
Thank you for adding an awful lot of fun to the fall season. Well, I guess since I have to mention Thanksgiving at least once, without shirking my duty, of course. How about somebody telling about a memorable Thanksgiving that they had sometime in their life? Would someone like to volunteer that? Especially when one of our guests like to volunteer.
You know, I just thought of a memory I'd like to share. I'll give it a shot. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm originally from Illinois. I don't know if anybody knows, but I talk very fast, and pretty soon you'll get the hint. I'm from Chicago or so, but all my family is back home. So my husband and I, we don't get a chance to make it back home very often, but a couple years ago we did. We went to my brother's house, and it was just my brother and his wife and their 2 kids, and my mom and my dad, my husband and I. We had a great time, and I was so looking forward to a big turkey. My brother's a gourmet cook, brand new kitchen, loved it, very excited for Thanksgiving, the turkey, all the trimmings. My mom was going to be there, and at the time I'm 30 years old. And you would think that I would know my mom better than I did at this time. She hates turkey. Hates turkey. Courtney Ann, you know better. I don't like turkey. My mistake. You're right. I should have known better. So we had completely rearranged everything that we were going to do the day before Thanksgiving. No turkey. Can't have turkey. Don't like turkey. We had to rearrange this. So we decided to have beef. Pot roast. Okay, all right, we can work with this. I got to be home with my family. I didn't care. I was happy. We don't make it home very often. I was very excited. Well, my brother, with his brand new kitchen, forgot to get one of his ovens plugged in.
Oh, no.
Oops. So not only did we not have Thanksgiving, we did not have the turkey for Thanksgiving. We had a semi-cold pot roast that wasn't quite right, and you can guess how well it turned out. Take-home message while we were eating popcorn and sandwiches at about 8:30 at night on Thanksgiving was that I really was happy that I just got to be home with my family and to really just be happy for the blessings that we had. I was home with my family for once. So. Thanks.
Anyway, I'd like to thank you all for helping to make our Thanksgiving our Thanksgiving a very nice day.
Next, on to the evaluations segment of our meeting. I would like to call up Amy. The general evaluation.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our distinguished guests. Way to go, that's awesome. We are now going into the evaluation portion of our meeting. So first we'll have our speech evaluators come forward for our prepared speakers, and then to wrap it up at the end, we'll have our timer. And forgive me, who's our grammarian?
Kaylee.
And in lieu of Kaylee, you're serving that role. Excellent. I'm going to have to tease Kaylee, she shirked her responsibilities today. But excellent grammarian, stepped up. With that, I will call our first evaluator, I believe it's Brian, to come on up and give us an evaluation of Chris's speech.
General evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and guests, I will not shirk my responsibility to be the general evaluator, or to be the person. I was thinking about other things. So I'm evaluating Chris's facilitation speech, and basically how well he did facilitating the first module. So the goal of this review was to determine how we were doing as an organization, as a club. And I felt that you did a great job of summarizing that goal, summarizing the responsibilities that we all had to input suggestions into that, into that evaluation. So I did a great job of summarizing what was evaluated. I thought you did a great job of providing examples of what a typical setting would be in a normal Toastmaster around the table. It's really enlightens, I feel like it enlightens us to how much of an advantage we have to sit in this big room and to have more people here to listen to these speeches. So I thought that was effective. So something else that I thought you did a great job of was allowing others to speak instead of commanding the whole speech to yourself and just putting in your own ideas. You let others also participate in the speech, and you allowed other people to input their suggestions as well. And I thought that you had great suggestions as well. You had your own ideas and how we can improve the organization, which I thought was really helpful. I counted one throughout the whole speech, just one. One thing that I also liked is you said to go back and read the handbook, which I think is wise counsel. That was something that I did in preparation for this evaluation, was to go back and read how to evaluate. And I think that's always good advice for preparing for these club meetings. The only advice or suggestion that I would give you, and this is just a general suggestion, is to maybe ask more concise questions or leading questions, so that way you can kind of pry from the group more ideas, as opposed to just a general, what else do you think, or are there any other suggestions that you can ask? Well, what do you guys think about X or Y? Then that might help the group think a little bit deeper about the topic, and then help elicit more responses or suggestions. And that's just a general idea. But otherwise, I thought you did a great job keeping the discussion on topic and within the time constraints. So, thank you.
The evaluator for our second speaker is Tanya. Please welcome Tanya.
Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, special guest, and most importantly, Ryan. Ryan's speech was from the first Competent Communicator Manual, and it was about get to the point. I'd like you to know that he was to prepare a speech that had a clear general purpose to inform, persuade, entertain, or inspire, and a specific purpose. It was to be organized in a manner that best achieves these purposes, and as beginning, body, conclusion, we should all tie in together and reinforce the purposes. He was to project sincerity and conviction and not strive to use notes, and any nervousness displayed should be minimal. And Ryan, with those being the goals of your speech, I have to tell you, you hit it out of the park. You did a home run, and in fact, I can't think of anything at all to tell you to do differently. I'm going to try to come up with something while I'm telling you all the things you did great. Okay, first of all, excellent pacing, great volume, great eye contact. What I wrote down here is that you're so sincere. thoughtful, your eye contact, you're confident and humble. You have humility and confidence at the same time. I just wanted you to come to my ladies' circle at church. I want you to come to talk to my pastors. I want to know that you're going to, in every word of your speech, if it wasn't pre-selected and pre-written, every single word you chose to use was lovely. I love your words. Fortifies friendships. There is always, always, always something to be grateful for. The richness that comes from appreciation. I'm not sure if that was the exact word because I got so excited and I forgot. Study results. Oh, and then you brought in the studies with the results from the two psychologists, and you didn't have to say what the poor negative people had to say. You stopped with what the positive people, the results was from saying the gratitude each day, and then you talked. You're pausing between transitions. Every single word you chose. I hope you have it written down and can give it again. I think people would be welcome to hear you. And I thought, I bet you his mission trip was in Detroit. I bet that was with the Mormons, because they always come to my ride. And I'm like, oh, I wish he was Lutheran, because I wanted to come to my church and talk to all of our kids. But either way, it doesn't matter. It's just so wonderful. And please give this speech as often to many groups as you can. It was perfect. So I still don't think of anything to make better. So sometimes when you were holding your fingers together, I don't know, I didn't mind it, I liked it, so I don't know if that's something to change or not. Were you looking at something to help you remind, or was that just a way to center yourself, or, I don't know, it was lovely. And then you showed the maple tree, so I just can't think of anything, so maybe watch it on video and see if you can think of anything, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Thank you.
It is a good reminder for us all to go back in and watch that video. There are things that sometimes we catch. I didn't realize I did that, or I didn't realize I said things in that way that all of the rest of us may not, either feel comfortable providing feedback to or may miss that you yourself might catch. So a valuable tool in those recordings. That's a great suggestion.
Where are they?
There's a link on the
website?
website, yeah, that will take you there. They actually go out on YouTube. I'm not sure.
But it's a private YouTube, so
Yes.
that you wouldn't know how to get there unless but you could copy and paste the actual YouTube site to give it to your wife to watch or your friends if you wanted to, but nobody can get into it except for us because of the link that's on our members-only website.
And my 9-year-old thinks it's wonderful that I have YouTube videos of people. I'm not going to tell him otherwise, he'll figure it out. It's really not that good.
Oh, I gotta impress my child. I probably won't work, but anyway, I'll try.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, and I always get hung up on the order. I've been in Toastmasters for I don't know how many years, and today I'm gonna flip the coin and I'm gonna have our timer come up, and we'll have the grammarian follow up that day. I also want to just give a shout out and kudos to Courtney, our guest, for coming up and participating in table topics. We don't always open that up to guests, and Joe, kudos to you for doing that, and especially for Courtney for jumping at that opportunity. Boy, you're much braver than I am. As far as feedback goes, I think we sort of covered a little bit of it. The room setup, and there's only so much that we can do, but again, taking from Andrew's cue, even if it's not your job as the Sergeant at Arms, we can all step in to help make sure that the meeting is a comfortable space for all of us. And with that, I will turn it over to our grammarian/Toastmasters to close us out.
For the grammarian review, I unintentionally shirked some of the responsibilities because I did not know I was going to be probably taking over the role. But I did count the word used 5 times, including the time I just used it right there. For filler words, I don't really think of anything that came to mind. Most people didn't stumble or stutter or use any filler words like I did there. So overall, I would say it was great on that part. Now, at this point, I think we conclude our meeting unless Chris has anything to mention.
Thank you. I'll just stand here. I've looked online. Deanna must be shirking her responsibilities for the December schedule. So as soon as that comes out, I think there will be an alert. Next week is an off week because of the Thanksgiving holiday. However, there will be, I think December 2nd will be our next club meeting, but we don't have the schedule out there yet.
So don't show up next Wednesday, because we won't be here.
Right. However, that evening for the fellow officers
Oh,
is.
December 2nd.
Didn't I say December 2nd?
Oh, I thought I was telling you not to show up for him.
No, yes, don't show up for next week. But for December 2nd, there is the first round of officers training. I think it's after supper
Methodist.
at Methodist. I think that is all that I can think of for announcements right now. Any others from the fellow officers?
No, thank you for participating, and if you didn't get a chance to answer his email yet, and you want to answer the email, there's, I guess, the forms you could answer some more topics of Module 1 if you didn't participate yet in here.
I have a.
No, and I will say thank you for the feedback. I didn't, it's a great idea. Next week I will have copies, or the next time we do this module, I will have copies.
This Saturday at 8:30, those who are interested, there's an advanced club here, the Southern Mentors, which meets at Methodist, the cafeteria, room number 6. It's at 8:30, it runs for an hour. You'll meet at least 4 or 5 distinguished Toastmasters and some senior members, leaderships, and how they run the club. They meet once a month, and you don't need to have a CC manual or anything to join, but you can participate. I'm a member of several clubs. Last month, a member from the Bright Mondays joined, and she was very happy. So you'll see how an advanced club works. It's very similar to here, but there's a lot of leadership which goes on, and it's like how to be extremely serious about Toastmasters. And it's like these guys are unbelievable. They're like, there's one of them, Brian Hinton, he's got 5 distinguished Toastmaster. He's got it 5 times.
Wow.
And it's like a replay, believe it or not, kind of guy. I mean, if you want to see some of them, and it's a sight to see, but
So
just
they're
to
not
see how they are.
beginners? They're not beginners.
They're not beginners, but they are so humble, and it's a very inspiring thing. If you have time, I know you're all busy, 1 hour. That'd be good. Joe used to come there, but he stopped doing it.
I'd like to add something to what you said. This is a minor issue, but there's delicious omelets at that cafeteria. 4 eggs in the omelet, and you get to put anything in it you want.
And Joe has gone there so many times, the guy looks at Joe and prepares his omelet. Joe doesn't tell what he needs.
I go there every day.
But I think in the spirit of Thanksgiving, to be a Toastmaster, you have to imbibe it. You can't be a part-time lover, part-time Toastmaster. It's got to be that turkey thing or whatever. It becomes part of you. And you do it at work, you do it anywhere. I just finished my international symposium. I did some of the things out here in the audience. So really, I mean, I see some great speakers here with great futures. So why not brighten your way and do what you have to do?
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew.
And if anybody wants to do early Christmas shopping, the Mayo Craft Show is this Saturday at the Civic Center.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. What time is it open? 8?
8
Oh,
8 to 4.
I love the craft show.
I missed you last weekend.
You did such a good job. And what I really liked, how you commented on the cute things of their speeches.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, no, that's good. That was good. It was
I'm
very
going to
delightful. It
be-
makes it more entertaining.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was very nice.
I
Good
think
job.
I'm gonna do this
You're welcome.
on Thursday.
Where's Ryan? Is he going?
Oh, Ryan is back there.